First and foremost, Iowa deserves all the credit that they're getting because of the way that they play, and it's really unique watching them because obviously they've had guys that have come up through Fran's system, come up through the Big Ten. They've been in tons. Oh wait, go ahead. We're all screwed up, right? We're all screwed up because I was going to go. We watched film for a little bit, so we're just starting. It's been really interesting to watch them develop because they've been through these battles, and we've had battles with them. They've had battles with a lot of other teams, and they're playing so well together because you just look at them and they are battle tested, and I think that's why they're having such a great year. And aside from that, their length is really, really hard to deal with. There's a lot of things that are said about their team. I'm not sure there's enough said about how long they are, and they cover a lot of ground, and they don't overhelp. And they can mix defenses, whether it's the man-to-man, whether it's the zone, whether it's the press. And they don't gamble. They disrupt you in a big way. And they're really, really good defensively. And now you take that into the fact that they've got a tremendous fast break and the fact that so many guys can score. And the redshirt freshmen that they're playing are like veterans, and the veterans are real veterans. And the unselfishness that they play with, the ball movement that they play with, the physicality. Certainly the numbers bear it out with their shooting, with their rebounding, with their assists, with their lack of turnovers, and with their defensive numbers. And for us to win the game, we're going to have to be all that and more. And we've really got to do a great job of not playing into their hands by not getting back at a high rate defensively, by not moving the ball or by moving cutters around. We're just starting, Mike, all right, and moving cutters around. And we've got to do an excellent job of being on that glass because they're rebounding at such a high rate. So great respect for their program. Fran McCaffrey's certainly not only one of the one of the best coaches in our league, he's one of the best coaches in the country, and he has been for a long time. And proven winner and a proven builder, and it's going to be a great challenge. But we're looking forward to it. We're excited about the fact of being home. We're excited that we should have a great crowd with a lot of energy, and we're excited to be playing a team like this that's such a really good team, and see where we stand as we go into it. So go ahead.
You talked the other night on the radio show about kind of getting back to some basic things, feeding the post, spacing, and things like that. How do you balance that with preparing for an opponent who throws?
Oh, I think both. I think we've done both. We practiced Sunday night, which we were going to do anyways, based on the week, because it's the first time in a long time we hadn't had a Tuesday. So, and then took Monday off. And I think we've had a real good balance of preparing for them, preparing for their personnel and their schemes, but really being combative. I mean, you've got to be really good in transition. You've got to be really good on the glass on both ends, both ways, and continuing to try to simplify it as much as we can. And we coach the fundamentals every day. Well, then every once in a while, you've just got to reiterate how simple you have to make it. We've seen the film to see the spots that we missed on, see where we overhelped, see where our communication wasn't as good as it needed to be, or our awareness wasn't as good as it needed to be. And every game has got mistakes, but it's the ability to recover from them the fastest. And that's what we have to do. But there is a fine line. It's not as much in what you're talking about with balancing to prepare, but with how we play, because we do shoot quick, because we do play fast, because we do take threes, because we make them at a pretty high level for the most part. But at the same time, it's so important that ball is going through the paint. And through the paint, through the post, however we want to look at it, it needs to go through there. And that's when we're at our best. Good, Pete.
They don't always full court press, and they certainly don't press all the time. But when they do, it can be extremely effective. And maybe it's a little bit ties into what you mentioned about their length. What makes that three-quarter press so effective?
Well, they're really tight in the middle, so they really make it hard for you to get it into the middle. And because of their length, they make it hard for you to skip. So you've got to reverse the ball. You've got to have really good angles, and you got to space the floor. I think the more people that come back to the ball, like any press, especially theirs, the more it plays into their hands. So it's like we constantly teach when somebody has the ball, keep moving away from it to create the long closeout in the half court. Well, it's really the same thing with full court offense. So to me, it's that, and then they sneak it in. They do a very good job of sneaking it in. So you've got to be constantly alert and they're really good. I mean, they're really, really good in those areas. And their end-of-game offense and like their 2-minute offense, Mike Gazelle is like an NFL quarterback running that in the way that they get the ball down the court. There's numerous times they're playing, they don't even call a timeout. I mean, when you've got that level of experience and dependability on your team of knowing what you want, at the end of the game, it says a lot about how well they play during the game. So they have really good communication in that, and we just have to be really alert to the changing defenses.
With a guy like Utah, I know there's probably not a direct comparison, but do you think does he present some of the same challenges defensively that a guy like Nigel Hayes would, because he can go outside, he can go inside? There's not like a natural position for him, I guess.
Well, the difference is Nigel Hayes, to me, is constantly driving to be fouled, and does a great job of putting his shoulder into your body, and force the referee to make a decision. Utah's got tremendous footwork, and really uses his feet extremely well. Very good, great range. The only comparison that I could come up with really is it's like Keith Van Horn, when he played in college, but the modern day type of thing with his footwork, the way that he plays like Dirk Nowitzki. I'm not trying to say he's Dirk Nowitzki, but he's got that type of level of footwork when it comes from when he catches it. He doesn't get rattled, and he's very patient. But Keith Van Horn, and our players wouldn't really remember him, but that would be the most, the closest thing to me when he played for Rick Majerus at Utah, with the impact that he has on the college game, because he can pass the ball as well. But the deal with them is they're not putting anybody out on the court that can't play at a high level. And whether it's Dom Ewell, whether it's Bear, Wagner, and Ellingson, they're deep for a reason. And that they have a real consistency when they play. You look at the Michigan State games, and Bear and Ewell were as big of factors in those games as especially the one up at Michigan State, as anybody. So they're really good in that area. So you've got to do a great job of containing your man. Can't be in an overhelp situation, but you've got to be aware of what the strengths are of every guy, and try your best not to let him get to it. Go ahead, Mike.
To go along with that, they use Dom Ewell with the 3, 4, and 5. Does that open different dimensions, especially when they play him at the 5?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think our coaches are really concerned about that, and who's going to guard him in that way. And I'm more, we just got to guard him, right? But he's got some strengths. He's got some things that he really wants to do. He very aggressive offensively, and I like him. I liked him in high school, and he was kind of really underknown. He's really, to me, they got him, we got OG. It's really similar in the way that they were both, and Iowa recruited OG. They're very similar in the way that they were not recruited as heavily, they were not ranked as high, but yet they were really effective when you saw them. And he's done an excellent job of developing, and he and his staff done an excellent job of developing those guys. So no question he creates a lot of issues because of his ability to shoot with range and his ability to drive the ball, especially to the middle of the floor.
Everybody talks about Utah, but Peter Jock,
No question, he is a high level wing, and tremendously improved. Yeah, we're not everybody, right? We're talking about Peter Jock as much as we're talking about anybody else. You can't just get ready for 1 or 2 guys with the best teams in the league. And you really can't get ready. Everybody's got strengths, and then everybody has something that they do, right? Well, the Iowa guys have multiple things that they all do. And I think that's what makes them so good. And Peter Jock can score a lot of different ways. He's a tremendous motion player. He's got excellent footwork. He scores a high percentage of his baskets on the break, whether it's threes or getting out in transition. He really attacks the rim. It's when he probably gets fouled the most, is when he's attacking the rim in transition. Percentage basis probably with his Euro step and things. So really preparing for him would have been like when we were preparing for Cody Miller-McIntyre with Wake Forest, and then he was injured in the game. Those guys that score a high level of their points in transition. And needless to say, he's very good in the half court. Great reads, because of their system of motion offense. Their motion offense is really, really, it's unique because it goes different ways. It's, basically they do such a great job of, we call it a gaggle, when there's 3 guys on a side. And they do a really good job of having 2 guys on one side, 3 guys moving on the other side, and you've got to be aware of everybody. And he does an excellent job of getting what he wants, and then there's some games that they'll say, okay, this is what we're going to get, it looks like, and they run it 2 or 3 different ways. But when you have multiple dimensional guys that can make reads on the screens and get to the glass and post up like really all of them can, makes them unique, and that's why Peter Jock is so good.
Scoring-wise, Colin Harmon has been doing a lot, just putting up points. Is that more of a sign of him maybe able to do a lot of other stuff for you guys, or is he just kind of struggling with that?
I don't think he's struggling. I don't think he's aggressive enough. I don't think he's aggressive enough looking for a shot. And he missed some the other day. But we just need to play, again, I'm at a point with those guys, like when we're not moving as well, and I probably should have called more plays the other night, in all honesty. You know, when we're moving and flowing, we're just playing out of concepts. And when we're not moving and flowing the way we need to do, then we need to run more set offense. But we also need, the bottom line is that the ball needs to go through the paint. And I thought the other night Colin was rushing, and I think he was playing a little too fast, even though he does a really good job of playing fast. But when the game's in movement, when we're moving the ball at a high rate and we're getting those 17, 18, 19 assists in a game, it's amazing how good our shooting percentages are. And Colin's a part of that on both ends, with the passing and with the shooting. So I don't coach with guys in the mindset of percentages and slumps. I really don't. We coach into the details and technique of their shot. We know where they're best from. You know, we try to, in the span of a game, try to maybe get them in that spot. But the more you start talking about what a guy is not doing with his shot, all right, the more he's going to think about it. We just want him to, but you don't want to fire it aimlessly, right? Especially when you've got what we've got the ability to do in the paint, you know, with the ball and penetration and with post-up. So him playing comfortable and urgent is really important. Him playing anxious and rushed is not good. And when he plays comfortable and urgent, he's really good.
Tom, when do you, there's always talk about you want to make certain your guys have their legs for late February, March, and stuff like that. When do you start maybe modifying your practice, and have you changed as a coach?
Oh, we started, yeah. We started in January. We started really right after Christmas, right after the Rutgers game. Yeah, absolutely. And
Is that earlier than you did?
absolutely, because the rules have changed. I think they're playing basketball for so much longer, right? And a year ago we went to Montreal, and you had that time with your team and the practices. But I think you read it, and we still spend a lot of time together. And when we're aggressive and physical, we really don't have. They know the difference between really being high throttle and being in a walkthrough, and we rarely mix them, right? It's either going to be one or the other. And then there's times for us to get into the walkthrough part of it. But we've really I've changed a lot, and I think it's all a matter of reading your team. And if I didn't think we were full of energy, or sometimes it's the mental part, and I think as a coach you've got to read that as well. You know, because going back to early December, and the defense was being crushed, which I understood, but I didn't think we were very good offensively. And we come out of the Moorhead game, and we're getting ready to play IPFW. And if there was ever a time to think our team was tired, it would have been then, because we've had all the Maui and Duke and all the negativity and played Moorhead, all that kind of stuff. And we watched film in the afternoon rather than come out for the walkthrough. And we walked through maybe like 10 minutes, right? But we put on film of how slow our offense was and how slow our break was. And lo and behold, Yogi gets 38 and 10 assists that night. And if there was a guy that was going to be tired, it probably would have been Yogi. So my point is, you've got to gauge it constantly. You've got to gauge the physical. You've got to gauge the mental. Sometimes you take some chances, and our break was at another level that night. And I think it doesn't matter who they are. They're young people. I have NBA friends that would probably say the same thing about their guys, and they're adults and professionals. You have to keep reminding people what they can do, right? And sometimes you have to remind them what we need to practice and what we need to do in the game, And we're going to be obsessed with getting them better in practice, but we want to play to our strengths in the game. And sometimes you have to remind them what those are. And it's like anything else. The other night we weren't reminding each other enough in that game about what we needed to do, and we got caught in some overhelps, and especially late in the game. And we didn't understand what the game was giving us. We were in the bonus at the 12-plus minute mark, and the ball needed to go through the paint a lot more. That doesn't mean it's going to be scored in the paint. It just means that it has to go in the paint. And that's where we've got to be better. So I think this team will get better. I know, we're in the part of the schedule that the computer gave us. right? I mean, it is what it is. We pick our non-leagues, we don't pick our leagues. So it is what it is. And obviously, TV's got a lot to do with that. But we're excited for it, and I think we're going to keep getting better.
I guess to maybe a little bit along those lines, I think you talked on the radio show about good competitive spirited practices. Is this at the same time a team that maybe understands how to make sure that in trying to really use a Penn State loss, for example, as motivation, that it doesn't overdo it and maybe push itself too hard?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think so. But human spirit, when you really want to be good at something and you want to win, you're going to feel bad when you don't. So I don't think I had to create a whole other level of feeling bad. You know, we made sure that we got our points across as to what we needed to do a better job of, especially on the defensive end. But they understand. They're a smart group. But we've got some youth mixed in there, right? And I said this the other night. Our freshmen played like freshmen that night, right? You know, Thomas's first foul was a position of being up and stepping up, and then it was really kind of a touch foul, but rule of thumb or in the rules, it's a foul. And then the drive on the charge, we want him to handle the ball, but I mean, they were sitting there waiting for him to come. I mean, anybody from the third to fifth row could have been there to wait on him, make the pass, get wide, get it done. I mean, they're still learning, right? They're still learning. I mean, we've got some key guys that are not in veteran roles. And the other day, we played like it a little bit. But I mean, that's the beauty of this, is that we can keep getting better. They're very hungry to learn and improve. And we're very conscious of not overdoing it. So, but they've got good spirit.
Great, Coach.
All right, thank you. They'll be here in a bit.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, he's made sure, we're not making the complicated play and, making the good pass, get some ball movement. I think, we've really stressed that the past couple of days, just, trying to, run our offense the way it needs to be run, not let the ball stick as much. I think we've done a pretty good job with that.
I guess for both of you guys, just, is it hard at all to sort of handle the emotion of a week like last week where you go on the road, you pick up a big win at Michigan, particularly the way you played there, and then obviously the disappointment at Penn State? Or is this a team that just, as experienced and veteran as it is at the top, can handle, those sort of ups and downs, I guess, this time of year?
Yeah, I definitely think we can handle it. It just goes back to show what kind of league this is, a Big Ten. You have to come out every game with the same mindset and be prepared to go out there and battle.
The opportunity to play a team like Iowa that can do so many things. They've got maybe the Big Ten's best player. They can press, they can rebound. Just how challenging is playing a team like this?
Iowa, they're a talented team. They got a lot of length, a lot of size. They haven't been out-rebounded in the Big Ten yet. And, I think it's going to be a challenge for us. We're going to be, pressed to see what we can do on the offensive, defensive boards. And, just try to take away what they want.
People talk about, I guess, Utah and Jock, but Fran McCaffrey coach teams always seem to go really deep. And it seems like they've got a lot of guys on that roster that can at least score 8, 10 points a game. How different is it to prepare for a team like that, where you maybe have 7 or 8 different guys that can really hurt you when they've got the ball?
It's different, but at the same time, whenever, we review for a team, we make sure we cover anybody that could possibly play. So at the same time, it's not different from a preparation standpoint.
Robert, Utah is, I believe he's still leading the Big Ten in block shots. Certainly he's a major big shot blocking factor. How challenging is that in terms of when you drive the basket, knowing you always have to be aware of where he is, regardless of whether he's on you or not?
Yeah, that just goes back to, like Coach said before, making a simple play. If he steps up, then, usually he's stepping up off of his man, so his man should be open. And if not, then you have the layup or whatever the play might be. So it just goes back to making it easy and simple play.
Rob, you've had a streak of good rebounding dating back really throughout the whole Big Ten this season. What kind of goes into rebounding as a guard? What kind of makes certain guards better at just grabbing boards than others?
Just going in there, trying to get your nose in there. Especially, a lot of times guards don't go on the offensive end. So just getting in there and trying to track down long rebounds and things like that is something that guards can do.
Kind of building off that, Max, how much does that make your job easier the rest of the posts when you have guards kind of crashing the boards like Rob has done?
Oh, a ton. When they can clean up those things that, we can't get our hands on, it just, makes it a lot easier for us to get out and run because they're the guys that are going to press, press the ball out. So, when they get the ball and they can get it going, we can run, and that's when we really get our transition game going.
Speaking of transition, I think probably the perception of the Big Ten is the slower league is sort of going out the window, but this is a team that is perfectly happy to match the pace you guys want to play, maybe more so than any other. I guess just, is it easier to get ready for a team like that? Is it harder to get ready for a team like that when you know that you're not really going to be able to play faster than they're comfortable with?
I definitely say that it's tough for the simple fact that they're fast and they can score at a lot of different positions. They can shoot the three ball really well, so you have to get out and guard. So that's something we have to really have to focus on and really sprint back and make sure we have the rim covered and not giving up easy open shots.
You've got a lot to think about with Iowa coming in, with all that they bring to the table. Is it comforting at all knowing that you're going to be able to play them at home, that you have Assembly Hall behind you?
I definitely think being at home plays some sort of factor into it. We get a chance to get a great crowd behind us, and a lot of times we feed off that energy. So we're definitely excited to be home.
Has there been a buzz on campus about finally having a top 10 ranked team in Assembly Hall this year? From your fellow students and so forth?
Well, I'm in online classes, so I'm not on campus too much. But I mean, there's definitely, you got a really good team coming to town, a top 5 team, and I know if I was a student, I'd be getting jacked up for this one. I'd be showing up early. So, I know there's a buzz here, there's a buzz all around, but it's going to be a fun one.
I think this is your first top 25 opponent since Duke. I mean, is there just an excitement within the team of being back on the stage and having the implication for Big Ten title things on the line? Is it just a team-wide excitement to kind of have this stage in front of you again?
Yeah, I think with the loss to Penn State, having Iowa coming in here, the game after is, it's kind of a blessing. It's a chance where we don't have to kind of wait and not have a chance to play the people at the top and hope they lose. We have an opportunity right away to come off that loss. And like I was telling JD earlier, like last time I lost to Penn State, we went to the Final Four. So I think I've tried to, I feel like I've kind of been through this before. And I've tried to help them know how we can really improve from that, and kind of have a wake up call on some things we need to do. So. With the team coming in like this, I think we can really build some momentum and really try to establish ourselves coming into March.
I guess at the same time, Coach talked about, he's talked about maybe for the last 2 months just starting to ease back on practices and keep guys fresh, but he also said that he felt like Sunday's practice was very competitive and spirited. How do you make sure that you're motivated from a loss like that, but you don't overdo it, particularly as you get deeper into the season and maybe get too burnt out or put somebody in a position to get hurt just from fatigue?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a mentality thing. Coach, when he comes into practice, there's some things he wants to see. There's some things he wants us to respond to. As far as pushing us, like too hard, I don't think that's a problem. I think he balances it pretty well of understanding the kind of mindset we need to have, the things we need to focus on, whether it's transition defense or rebounding or whatever it may be. And I think he does a pretty good job of making sure our mindset's in the right place going into the upcoming game.
There was a former coach, Gene Cady, when he was at Purdue, he said that he didn't think 19, 20-year-olds can get tired. Just didn't think that happened. Now, I know, Max, you're a little older than that. But beyond that, do 19-year-olds get tired? Robert, do you get tired this time of year? Do you get worn down, or do you get more energized? Are you good whether it's December or March? It doesn't matter.
I think sometimes, your body gets tired, even if, you don't necessarily get tired of playing basketball. But sometimes, your body does get tired, and, we have a great training staff that makes sure, we do things like get in the cold tub, get treatments to help our body recover and things like that. So, yeah, sometimes, your body definitely gets tired, but at the same time, we do a lot to make sure, we recover and be ready to go.
It seems like the past couple of games, Colin has been in and out of foul trouble a good amount. Is that more a case of who he's guarding those games, or are you guys seeing him doing something defensively to cause him to get in foul trouble?
A lot of games he has been on versatile guys, that can score a lot of different ways. So he's been doing a good job of trying to be aggressive, and sometimes, with that aggression comes, no foul trouble. So he's just been watching film and things like that to see, where he has his hands and where he could, he could have, guarded better without fouling.
All right, guys, thank you.